Okay, we're going to talk about Huntington Lake, because that's the next big regatta that's coming up. That's a little snapshot of Huntington Lake. Actually, that's a postcard. Very beautiful up there. It's great. It's 6,000, 7,000 feet. The air is crystal clear. The water is crystal clear and cold. The wind is always good up there. It's a great place to sail.
What's your definition of good?
Excuse me?
What is your definition of good?
Good. As far as wind? 12 to 14.
Steady?
Yeah, pretty steady. You're going to see some of the first ever scientific evidence of how steady it is. Well, sometimes it's more steady than others. What can I say? But you know what? That's sailing, and that's what it's all about. And so the whole intent in this is winning to weather, and it's all about sailing to weather. It's not about starting. It's not about going downwind. It's not about reaching across the lake, which we will do. It's about going to weather, because I think that is the place where people pick up, they pass boats. That's where you pass boats. It's a chance to really get ahead of people. And we see horizon jobs, occasionally, not real often, on this lake where some people really, really get out there. And so I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about why it happens. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Huntington Lake. Who has not been to Huntington Lake? Doug, you have not been.
You guys have never been?
Oh my God. Is that true? You guys have not been to Huntington Lake?
I don't lie.
Well, I'm sure you have. She cooperated, you too. Okay, so we're going to talk just real briefly about Huntington Lake and what the do goes on. What their conventional wisdom is, that is what all the local people and the people that have been going up there for 20 years kind of think about it. We'll talk about what I call working the weather, and we're going to look at wind shifts, because that's how you pass boats. Believe me, the Lidos more or less all go the same speed. So the only way you pass somebody is because you're sailing on a shift that allows you to sail higher than they are. And that's how you get ahead. It's not entirely true, but I bet you that's 85% true. And then what I've got is I had a GPS unit on my boat last year, and I took gathered data during all the races, and you'll see that plotted up there, and we're going to resail part of one of the races as we go to weather. So you can actually see the wind shifts going on, what's happening with that. And the way you read wind shifts is with your compass. It's the only way to do it. I mean, Sandra and I will be out sailing, and I'll see the water ripple a little bit ahead, and I'll tell her, here's some winds coming. You know, we got a puff coming in. She's looking out there. I don't see any wind. It's just air out there.
You see the wind? You see the wind?
It's the same kind of thing with the shifts. It's not like you can look up and see the shift coming, and I don't think you really see it on the water. You see the trees waving, but you don't know that the wind's going to shift. The only thing that tells you the wind is going to shift is your compass. And that's why it's good.
You don't see the wind shifts and the water ripples?
I don't. Absolutely
Zero out,
not.
I think, the group.
Here's the course chart. This is just without the Lido logos on it, the stuff up at the top. That's exactly what you'll get handed. Now they've changed these mark locations around a little bit in the past, and so don't take these numbers as what may be up there this year. So the area where we launch is right there. There's a little pier that's out there, and that's the starting line right there. The wind usually blows right up the lake, more or less, and a number of marks that you go to, and all the standard kind of stuff. Now, typically what happens, this is local wisdom stuff. Typically what happens is from the starting line, when you're close hauled, you go across over to the Boy Scout camp, and then most people, not all, most people kind of ticky-tack up the left-hand shore. This is a dam right here. That's another dam. When you get up in this area, sometimes it can get very, very light. That will happen, and the wind will come back in. Sometimes it gets light. The wind doesn't come back in from right down the lake. The wind comes over this ravine and goes over to that dam. And I've seen people go 400 yards beyond another boat that's maybe 50 feet or 100 feet further to the middle of the lake because they don't get the wind. The people that are up next to this dam, not right next to it, but close to it, get the wind because the wind sweeps over the top there. So if you get up here and it starts to get light, look for the wind filling from the left and position yourself accordingly. I just said all of this about, and one thing I did not say is that as you sail up the lake, the wind tends to shift to the left. That is, it tends to shift to the left. So as you're sailing up, you might be on port tack here and not be going straight up the lake. I have seen people go straight up the lake, but you'll tend to be lifted on port tack or headed on starboard tack. That's one of the key reasons I think that when people go off the start line, they go all the way to the left shore and they stay on that left shore is they're expecting the wind to shift to the left. You want to be to the left of all the people that are to your right because that's how you're going to pass them. Let's see, I think I already said this too. Several opportunities to win races. You certainly want to have a good start. That's a key one. But the major opportunity is when you're going close haul and working the weather. It's especially true at Huntington Lake because the wind shifts up there are very substantial. I mean, easily, you'll see in the stuff I'm going to play, you'll see 20-degree wind shifts. And actually, as you work up the lake, you'll see 45-degree wind shifts. Very, very major wind shifts. And if you position yourself appropriately, you will make tremendous gains over other boats. And the other part of that, besides the larger shifts, is that the distance between the boats, that is that the lake is so wide, the boats spread out more or less, and because of the wide distances, when we go through the math, and I've got a very quick slide that talks to you about the math, it shows that, you know what, just a 10-degree wind shift can put you 8 or 9 boats ahead of a boat, just like that. And that's where you get the large gains and losses if you don't do the other one. So here, first of all, this is what we're going to talk about is a 10-degree wind shift. Before the wind shifts, we've got our wind just coming down. Normal to that, we draw a line that says boat B and boat A are both even. Those boats are even, as long as they're along that line. If the wind shifts 10 degrees over to this slightly lighter line, then we draw a new normal a line perpendicular to that, and that is that line. And you can put any boat that's on that line, you can move along. So we took this blue boat and moved him back here. So now this boat, after that 10-degree shift, this boat B right here is about 7 boat lengths ahead of this boat A. And that was with a 10-degree wind shift. And a 10-degree wind shift, as you'll see, can happen in just a matter of minutes. So in a matter of minutes, 8 boat lengths. The lake is big. And what that means is that, you know what, it's not the tight racing that we get. Mission Bay is actually pretty loose when you get up to some of the other racing locations. All the boats are really close. And it's very tactical, and you're watching where everybody's at and everybody's tacking. You get on Huntington Lake, you got a whole, you have acres of water to go sail on. And so what you can do there is you can spend more time on attack. You can spend more time looking around, seeing what the wind's doing to other boats around you, spend more time looking at your compass and figuring out, am I on a header or am I on a lift? So it really is a different kind of sailing, and I think when you go up there, you want to think about that a little bit more. You're going to be on tacks longer. Therefore, think about what tack you're on and where you're at on the lake. So this little yellow doodad is a GPS receiver, and that's hooked with a cable that's to a computer that's underneath the top of the boat, and that's what I gathered the data on. So I have some data I'm going to show you from race number 2. That's the Saturday afternoon race last year, and what I got off of that was speed and the heading information. So let's... Okay, so this is a map of Huntington Lake. And marks, obviously, got those laid in. Here's the start area, and where we're going to is mark 3. That's the windward mark right there. So let's get this started up. And this green dot is the boat, and we'll get an arrow here in a minute when it gets fired up. That'll actually tell you the direction. Right now, one of my contacts came out, and so we pulled into the dock, and I'm putting my contacts back in. This is a moving image, but you don't see it. Okay, so there's my boat. Sandra and I are in it, and we're sailing along. And that's the heading that the boat's going, that the arrow is indicated. It jumps around a little bit, but it does a reasonably good job. We're running up and down the line, and the gun is going to sound in about 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds after I turn around up there. So we pull it around, we're kind of luffing, bang, gun goes off, and now we're working the weather. And we're close haul, and we're going to be working across to get over to the Boy Scout camp.
How fast are you going?
We're not going very fast, are we?
We're doing about 5 knots.
Really? That's pretty good.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I didn't give you all the gory details. I got Excel spreadsheets with,
The
handing
speed.
and all that kind of stuff.
What's the speed range, Ken?
It's hull speed for going close haul, and it's pretty much 5 knots. I'll show it to you. I mean, I've got it on my just sitting on my desk.
Just curious. I know we're not sailing the fastest boat in the land, so it's kind of.
No, but you know what? It doesn't matter. They're all the same speed.
I agree. I understand.
I sit back in the boat just a touch to keep the bow from burying in when it gets a little choppy, like in Huntington Lake. So everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people just go one long tack across. I was fortunate enough, Sandra and I were both fortunate enough, to get a good start up at the flag end and go all the way across and have clear air going all the way across here.
Why don't you start at the pin if the left side is so advantaged?
Okay, there we tacked away. Okay, there's at least 2 answers to that one, and one of them is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what end I start at, as far as wanting to get to the left. How the line is aligned does not relate to whether I want to get to the left or the right, as long as I can keep my hair clear.
Don't most of the boats start at the pin and
The majority of the boats stay at the pin end, and you know, a couple of those boats get very good starts, and all the rest of the people get gas.
Yeah.
All I want is clear air, and so I go up here where it's pretty quiet, a lot of air, and I take off. And you know, I'm real happy when I can go all the way across the lake and not have anybody on my ear. Okay, now what is to notice in this? Now,
Where's the Boy Scout camp?
Boy Scout camp right there.
So you went right into it there.
Right into it. I took it right in, and this is a little difficult to see, but I don't have the compass headings written in on this, but we're going along. We're close haul, and can you? That's too bright. Can you see this bow?
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Can
lift right
you
there.
see it bow like that?
Yeah.
We're getting lifted.
Yeah.
That's a
Right.
20-degree lift. Now, you really can't see it. That doesn't mean anything to see it on this chart when we're sailing on our boats. What we want to look at is our compass. And it's bouncing around a little bit because the boat's slogging through the water. But that is a 20-degree lift that got up there. And then the lift went away. And so you're coming up, keeping, you know, you're looking for the break on the sail. Close haul, close haul, close haul. Up, lift went away. We turned back, and we're headed back down again.
Where did you come into the Boy Scout camp out in that race, Ken?
Where did I come in?
I mean, when you hit the beach, were you in the top 5 kind of thing?
Yeah, I think we were.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we've gotten lifted. Lift went away. We're headed. We stay with it, and you know what? We're starting to go again and get lifted. All the way down at the end down here, we're getting lifted. We're getting lifted. This is better than about 25 degrees right in here. They were getting lifted as you head into the Boy Scout camp. So you know what? You really don't want to be tacking out here if this lift's going to hold in here. So you're just taking it in, and what's telling you is you're looking at the compass. And as long as that compass is lifting as you're going in, that's fine. I want to sail on that lift. And by the way, the water gets pretty smooth over here because it isn't all turned up like in the middle. So I'm real happy going right into the beach here. And I tack out, and again, it doesn't show real well on this, but this is a good 90-degree tack going back onto port. And we've tacked again. Now and again, it doesn't show real well here because the dot's rather large, but this is not a good tack here. It turns out we tacked, so I wanted to get back to shore, but this is a header. We tacked through about 95, maybe 100 degrees. So you want to know if you're sailing on a header. I mean, you want to be sailing on lifts. In hindsight, kind of tells me, you know what, I didn't want to tack there. I should have just kept going a little further until I got heading down on starboard, on port, and then tacked over and been on a lift on starboard going back into the beach. Certainly you have to look at other boats and see what's going on, but I try to sail my race without getting involved and tangled up with other boats wanting to ticky-tack with me. So let's speed this up a little bit and take it a little further. What you'll find is that we're working up the shore.
What did you find when you were sailing? Let's say you're at hull speed. You're doing your 5 knots.
Right.
A good tack was 90 degrees.
Yes. Yes.
You didn't ever find anything where it was 80 or 85?
I found in this, I will show you tacks that are a little more, and I will show you tacks that are a little less. And technically, it's really not the heading. It's the
Velocity?
it's the track. It's the track across the bottom, across the position. And so there's a little bit of leeway that goes on that gets factored into this. So this direction that it comes up with, because I get compass headings out of it. Actually, let's see if I can show you one. There we go. So there's a magnetic compass, and it's reading over here, but it jumps around a lot, so I don't know that it provides a lot of usable data. That is the track heading as the boat is moving along.
You're in a light spot. You're only going 4 knots.
Where'd you see that?
Yeah, let's go back to that.
Oh, I see.
4.7, 4.6.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that far. 4.4.
But over
I'm
by the
surp-
shore, I think you do
I'm
slow
surprised
down
we moved
because
that
it's-
fast.
I was surprised when he said 4 to 5 knots. I was impressed.
You know what I'm saying? Knots. That says miles per hour.
Oh, okay.
So
Bravo.
4.4 is 4 knots. And so it's
Well, there's 4.9, 4.6. That's still, I think that's
Yeah.
still 4 knots. I mean, 15% or
yeah,
something.
no,
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
No, that's-
I'm still
that's-
surprised.
That's pretty respectable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Especially
Okay.
in all the chop there.
Yeah, but remember, you get a little less chop staying on the shore. So let's speed this back up a little bit. This is Tim Time's real time that we're going. So,
What do you think the wind speed was this race, Ken?
Sanders up on the rail some of the time. I'd say 14.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't think 15. Basically, I mean
You
16.
seem to go out a lot further than you did the previous few races.
Yeah, but you know what? That's where we're working to.
Oh, okay.
So don't get hung up over here, because you don't want to wind up having to get across the lake if it's a header to get over there. And so when I get a good chance to do it, I'll start working my way across.
You're getting close to the ley line now, aren't you?
Yes.
This guy is good.
Ooh, what a
There's
lift.
a lift.
You're good. You're seeing it. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That gets on a little
Yeah.
further, and you'll really see the elbow that's in there. And that's exactly what happens as you go up. You get those lifts, and I'm holding on to that lift. I took it all the way into shore right there.
You aren't making the mark right there.
Hate going into marks on port, but there I am.
But you haven't rounded it yet.
No, I have not. That mark's not quite in the right position. It's reasonably close. But as I remember, there was a bunch of traffic up at Mark 3. Okay, and there we go. We're turning. We're going downwind. We're going to head down to Mark 6, then Mark 1, Mark 7, 8, and finish. Let me just slow it. I don't want to stop it, but let me slow it down here back to real time, which is snail's pace for us sailors. Here you go. There's the lift. You get headed. The lift starts to come back. You take it into shore. You get to shore. I got to go out. So I tack, and when I do, it looks pretty close to a 90-degree tack going back on the port. But look at that, when I go back on the starboard, wow, that's a terrible header going back into shore. Would have made more sense to try to keep going out on starboard. Did go into shore and then tacked. That seemed okay. That's pretty much a 90-degree tack. That looks very much like a 90-degree tack going out there. That looks close to 90, so we're just ticky-tacking out there, looking for any lifts or anything. I mean, it will tend to come from a direction. It kind of oscillates back and forth, and you can kind of see that oscillation here over a period of maybe 3 or 4 minutes to have it start to swing. Right there, you all saw it. That knee right there. We're sailing along on port. Oops. I bet you that's a 15-degree lift, if not a 20-degree lift, right there. And good enough. We're on it. We're going to take it over to shore. We're going to stay with it. We did that. Took it over to the shore, and then ticky-tacked up to the flag. I don't know exactly where we finished with the flag, but we were certainly up near the leaders. So let's make this go fast again, because it's just downwind. And this is just looking at track downwind. There's really nothing to be gained out of it. Let's see what the speed is here going downwind. 5.62, 5.2, 5.6,
Did you have to go
6.9.
around that mark?
Wow.
Say again?
Did you have to go around 6?
Yes, 6 and 4. Okay, we're headed down to 1.
Fast.
This is Big
Let's
Reach.
see your speed there, kid.
Slow it down, we'll take a look. 5.4.
Huh.
Like, it can get a little choppy coming down here.
Yeah.
Some, it, you know, it just depends on when the puffs are coming in. 5.8, 5.7.
You can't have that up there when you're going faster?
Say again?
You can't have that up there when you're doing 5x or 10x?
It still shows, but the arrow just keeps clocking around. Around Mark 7. That's where you have to sail through your own wake, and everybody else is coming along. You're sloshing along and banging and everything like that.
Wow.
Isn't that the type of mark of arrow that's in?
So you really reached up after you rounded that mark.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's slow
Is
that
that
down
for-
here.
for-
You got to go around a bunch of rocks. It doesn't show in this.
Oh.
You're going around rocks, and I get
Yeah.
pretty close to them. I'll tell you. And so that just isn't showing this on this view.
Ken, do you ever see it pay to round that mark and go low?
Go low where?
You know, some guys round it and they just snap it right around and come right back on port tack and kind of, you know, jib reach and put the pole up at the lathe. Do you ever take the low road and kind of skirt the edge
The
there?
low road right here?
Yeah.
No, there's rocks here, so you can go low, but you're gonna have to come back up and go around the rocks.
Honey,
You can't get inside of them?
honey, our secret.
Don't tell about our secret.
You can't go inside of them?
Inside the rocks.
Over
Over the rocks.
Well, sometimes they're rocks and sometimes they're offshore.
There is an island that's out here, and you can go to the right of the island if you dare.
If you dare.
It
Our secret.
is
Go to the right of the island and see what happens. About an hour later, we're still sitting there filing our nails.
Waiting for the tide to come in.
There's down.
Yeah, good eye.
Doing that once is
Good
all
eye.
it takes.
There's the island right there that we're going around, and you can come back in here,
This is like the
but you're taking your life in your own hands.
we were way behind.
Right.
We said, you know what, let's just give
Okay,
it a
so
shot.
let's load this up, and we're gonna go from Mark 8, which is the leeward end.
But you were in front.
We're gonna go back to the finish line. Let me clean the trail out.
Stop.
Take the trail
Sat out
off.
there for like 20 minutes.
We'll go up to 10x. So this is the leeward mark. This is where you'll find the best wind.
So we
Conventional
never-
wisdom is that. Oops. Conventional wisdom is.
Why are you going left? Oh, because you're going to finish.
In the wind, so
I
usually
got
over here.
hosed
Yeah,
up a little.
better.
There we go. Okay. So we went around a. Conventional wisdom says take it into shore. You'll find smoother air over, or excuse me, smoother water over here. This probably isn't a great representation of what the shoreline looks like. You've got the docks over here and the beach that everybody sits on is probably over here. So we're taking it into shore. Speed it up a little bit. Same kind of thing. We're looking for the lifts. I'm going to sail on the lifts. So there we go. There's a knee right there. We're sailing. Oh, lift came in. Up we go. Matter of fact, it looks like a little bit more of a lift right here. And when we tack, we're down a little bit, and then either I got out of the wind the way I was supposed to be, or the wind shifted back to the right a little bit, and we're sailing a little bit higher.
Ooh, there's the lift.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah, take a look at that lift. There's the tack. Now look at the lift coming in on port. Excuse me, on starboard.
Oh, keep tacked on the lift.
We're on such a lift.
Depends on who's back right here. Remember, boats
Covered.
inside. We're covering boats. Boats inside. If that wind goes to the right, the boats that are to the right of me
Are
are
making
going to
out.
gain on me.
Oh yeah.
So if I've got some lead on them, going to the finish line, this is when you want to use your lead to stay in front of the boats behind you. And I'll give up everything but one boat length to stay in front of that guy. So if I have 10 boat lengths here, I may stay with that lift, but he's getting lifted inside, and maybe he's going to pass me. So I use up some of my lead, sailing on a header, just to get between him and the finish line.
Ken, have you ever seen anybody push hard for the pin end, or they always usually go for
Which,
that end?
Yeah, I see.
you know what? I've seen people spread. This is the start line. The finish line really is only about that big, right in here. And I've seen people on both ends. I think that where the traffic is at dictates what end you go to. Certainly you can see the lift that's coming in here on starboard. That looks like that's pretty straight and holds. Bang.
I'm doing the mission back. You gotta wait for at least 20 more seconds for them to go. You gotta wait until you go around the mark and they go boom.
Yeah.
Wait. This is when we're all waiting for it. Okay, who won?
Now, did you start this race at the committee boat end
I started right there.
on purpose, or did you do it because you got a late start because of your contact?
Oh, no. On purpose.
Now the truth
Oh.
comes out.
I started all three of the races right there. Probably down maybe 50 feet from that end.
And what day was the light air day that people were talking about? Was that last year or was it the year
Not last
before?
year.
It did get light last year. It got light on Sunday, I think it was, when we got up by the dam.
Did that
And
change?
it filled heavily from the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we crossed the finish line on this side.
Do you still have the map there? Because we sailed at Nationals up there the very first year we were sailing together, and Lexa was quite young, and I always took middle to middle right for a start because we were so bad in our boat handling at that stage, we just didn't want to tackle a mess.
Sure, yeah.
So we'd always kind of hang there and get to the beach and hopefully be in the top 5 or
Right,
10 and
right.
find our spot.
Yeah.
But there was a race there that it still sticks in my mind. That you started farther to leeward, as did everybody start farther to leeward of us, but somewhere in the middle you kind of got buried and you went out and you went right. And I mean, you really went right.
Oh, yeah.
And you,
Yeah.
if you didn't win the race, you damn near won the race.
Oh no, we did. I know what you're talking about. We did get out there. We were all by ourselves.
You did well.
Well, it worked for a while. We were out in the middle playing the lifts. I'm reading the compass. The wind filled from the left, and everybody on shore got, not everybody, but a number of boats passed us on the left-hand side. So I mean that's the two sides. You can sail the lifts as much as you want, but if the wind really fills from the left, and again that's the conventional wisdom here at Huntington Lake, that as you move up the lake, it will turn to the left. And as it turns to the left, everybody on your left-hand side will come out ahead of you.
So by the time you get to that first dam, you better be looking left.
Well, we never went to the dam. In this race, we didn't go to the dam. So it depends on where you're going to, what the weather mark is. In this one, we were going to 3, which is on the right-hand side. The key thing with doing that is you got to cross the lake. And the big question is, at what point do I cross the lake? You want to be crossing on a lift. So I go out in the middle and I look for a lift. And I tried to take it across. Okay, so what I thought was exciting about this is the first time I have been able to visualize lifts and headers. I hear people talk about it, they talk about the compasses, we all chit-chat about this stuff when we get to the tables after sailing, but this really puts it's defined. And I have graphs, which I'll share with those that are analytically inclined and awake,
He's not
what the
looking at
heading
that.
is.
He's back here.
That's fine. I'm sure his heart's in it. What the boat speed is and what the heading is, and you will see that as we go up the lake, that as we're tacking back and forth, you see the average. The wind is shifting to the left, and it's very clear. So those things, and again, that's kind of conventional wisdom, but this now starts to provide a little more insight to, I think, us about what this all means.
So was that big last wind shift in there? How big was that? 15 degrees?
I tell you what, when we get through here, I'll pull the sheet out. I've got one sheet, and what it has is the heading for the boat versus time. And you can see the text because the heading changes 90 degrees. You can see the text, and when you get headed, you watch it go up. When you get a nice lift, you watch it go down.
You don't know right off the top of your head.
I don't. That looks like at least 10 degrees, maybe 15 to me, right there. But
I was thinking the next one.
Oh, this one right here? Well, that got lifted pretty well. We took it in. That looks like pretty much a 90-degree tack right there. And now we're getting lifted on the other tack. I mean, you can't have it. It's not every day you can have it both ways. That's exactly what we got. We got lucky. We took it into shore on a lift. The wind shifted. And we had to tack out anyway, because you're obviously not going to sail up on land. And as we tacked out, we're on a lift going out this way. And once we out here, this looks pretty much like, this is straight line stuff, straight line and straight line.
I have a question. When you're going upwind and you're getting kind of past the Boy Scout camp where all the big fishing boats won't get out of the way, sort of thing, because
Right.
they feel they're anchored there and they won't move out anyway.
Right.
When they're going up there, I found that you're literally trying to tilt your boat over, that way you're not going to touch somebody, hit somebody at weather view.
Right.
That's what happened to us, and there were like 20 boats that were just, we're all going upwind and we're all trying to tack over, yet we can't, so what's the deal with that? How are you supposed to get all the way right by that time?
All the way
left.
No, right, because when we were sailing, all the boats,
Right at the Boy Scout camp.
yeah,
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
where all the fishing boats,
Yeah.
we're trying to get away from them.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And so, what I hear you asking is, when we get into bad position and all these people are here, how do I get out? And my answer to you, young lady, is that don't get in there in the first place.
Don't get that close.
Don't get in with that group. And you know, Sandra and I have gone in there and mixed it up with other people, and I tell you, we get spit out the back end. And so when I see it crowded up ahead, I don't care if we're on a header or we're on a lift or whatever, I tack, and I want the lake. I want nice clear water out in front of me where I can see what the wind's doing on the water, so I don't get in there and get tight with those guys. You can do that, and that's fine, and that's where practice and execution all helps out. That's all fine, but that's not our forte. Sandra and I don't sail enough to be really good at doing that. So when we get in close with somebody, we don't want to be doing a 720, so I stay away from that problem. I don't get into that. I don't get into that corner.
Yeah, they all know.
We
how
go
to
sail out
roll
toward the
tack
middle, and I
and,
look
you
for
know,
one of these big
and
lifts.
right
that
on top
anybody
of
has.
each other, and they're a
Yeah,
couple inches
'cause
between
I'm
them, and they back and forth
Yeah,
and back and
exactly.
forth, and we're like,
Right.
you know, screaming at each other.
No, but it's like,
If they're good at it and they enjoy it, and that's fine. There's
no,
nothing
that's
wrong
not
with that.
us. It's
There's nothing
them.
wrong with that. But for us, that's not where we're going to do good. Where we do good is get me out in some open water where I can look at my compass, look around and see what's going on, and just sail my boat fast.
So you mean like if a boat's driving you in there literally into this huge pack because they know that they can handle it, do you mean just like literally let out your jib and try to get away from them?
No. You will get. You're kind of describing as getting trapped.
Yeah.
You might be down below a boat, and you're both on starboard going in, and
Right.
you can't tack because he's in the way. The only thing you can do is just try to keep sailing it. No, I don't think there's ever a time where you really actually just let your sails go and let him pass you and then go behind him. I don't think you do that. But when you do get into shore, safety says that when you feel you need to tack, you hail for room, and he is obligated to tack away and give you room, and then you must tack immediately to go out.
You're awfully kind if you're that boat's tack away because I know they think that they're going to pull up their center ports and try to get you to go by. Well, that's what Up does. We can drive Roger and he won't put it up.
There's the Roger roll.
That's a special case.
Do you ever feel as if you've gone too far into the Boy Scout camp?
No. Well, no, I take that back. There are buoys that mark the edge. There are buoys where boats dock in there, and I can't believe it's a swimming area. I just think it's way too cold for that.
Yeah.
But there are buoys that kind of mark that, and it kind of goes in concave. And so if I see the water is still in there, and I think it is most of the time because there's a little point that juts out, don't go in there. I mean, there's plenty of good air out in the middle of the lake. I know we want to be on the left-hand side. That's fine. But once that air starts getting a little bit light, ready about, and we're headed back out to the good air. I mean, you just run out of room and you have to tack. It doesn't matter what if you're on a header or whatever. So here's the compass I have. This is a Sunto. I don't know if John still sells this one or not, but I got it at the boat shop. It's a great compass. It's got a little lubber line on it. You set it up and it lies right between the red and the green. And when you get lifted, the lubber line is pointing into the green. And when you get headed, it's pointing into the red. And it's real easy for me to just look down there like reading icons on a computer screen. You can just tell what's going on. You don't have to have any numbers or anything like that. And it does a great job for me. And that's the back of the boat, and that's what I'm looking at.
And he looks at it. And he looks at it.
I
know,
tend
some
not
people have
to.
looked through
I
it
set
at
it for the start, and I
He
tend not to
totally
play
does.
with it after that. Because we're going to get shifted, I just keep in my head that, you know what, I know that we're,
We've been doing
20
better
degrees, and we're going to be 20 degrees
In the
lifted
green.
on, yeah, 20 degrees into the green, and that's what normally is happening at that part of the lake. Like if we were moving up the lake, I know it's shifting to the left. I expect to be lifted on port. I expect to be headed on starboard, and I'm not going to mess with the lubber line. I'm just going to keep that in my mind and read that the trend is getting to the left.
It goes to the left if you ever
About sitting on the rail, it's usually
on toward there.
That quote from Pete Jefferson: "If I didn't have a compass, I'd stay on the beach." I mean, Pete won the Nationals at King Harbor, and he said the reason that he won that was not that he was so fast, but that he sailed on the lifts. And people, you know, Sandra and I occasionally have a good race, and people say, you know, what'd you do? And I just say, you know what, we sailed on the lifts.
Well, I think the problem is so many of us are used to sailing in bays and we see those lifts from the shore. And now you get out in the ocean or out in a bigger area and you can't see them on the shore anymore. Your compass, if you're really good at it now, makes a lot of difference.
You have to use your compass. But you know what, we're talking, these shifts are 20-degree shifts. You're going to, I don't care how bad a compass, how small a compass you've got, you're going to see a 20-degree shift. And this is a good sized compass. That's probably, you know, the dial's probably 4 inches in diameter. So I mean, there is a fair amount of resolution that's there. So this is my mantra for any race. Good start, clean air, upwind, reading the wind shifts, looking ahead at the water, making sure you've got wind there, like not getting in shore too close where the wind tends to get a light. Downwind performance, you just got to keep your air clear. I think boat speed is important to going downwind. I think that's where there is differences in boat speed. Less when you're going upwind. And if you're going to win, what it means is that you can do all of those things. You do need to be able to do all those things to be able to win races in a competitive environment with that kind of teams.
nice.
Was that Nationals?
Not sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because I see John in
That
his
was a
little
few
top.
years ago,
That's
though.
years ago. Who's this little girl? Where's she
What does
at?
that say, 2001?
Yeah.
2001?
Yeah.
So that must have been the last
I
time
think
it
she's
was
older
at
than Dave now.
Huntington. Yeah.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
But those are all our, that's all our fleet.
Wow.
Well, let's see. That's 2001.
Yeah.
Right there. See?
Right.
Oh yeah.
So is that Barbara? Did
Hey,
Barbara
yeah.
Barbara Carroll. Yes.
Alexa,
Alexa.
hurry up, gotta see this picture. See if you can identify anybody here.
It's Huntington 2001 Nationals.
Ah, those are still on yes.
3 years ago.
Was it 7th or 9th? We got 7th in the Nationals and 9th in the ICR, right?
Yes, probably something like that.
Very happy after I got a gold.
Okay, I think I
So,
went over my 20
uh,
minutes. I apologize.
Well worth it.
Good job.
That was great.
Hey.
Oh, I have a question. Who was that man next to?